The small Earth ship looked like a piece of junk floating in space. Its metal hull was scratched and dented.
Ow.
Black smoke came out of one engine. Next to the giant alien ships around it, the human vessel looked like a toy. Inside the Grand Colosseum, a Vex Prime 500,000 aliens filled the seats. The arena was huge, bigger than any stadium on Earth. It floated in space like a metal moon. With lights that could be seen from distant planets, Lihanna stepped off her ship onto the docking platform. She was 28 years old with short black hair and calm dark eyes. She wore simple brown clothes and carried a small bag. Around her, aliens of all shapes and sizes stared and pointed. "Look at that tiny thing," laughed a creature with 4 arms and blue skin. "Humans are so weak and small. I heard they just learned to fly in space," said another alien with scales instead of skin. "What is one of them doing here?" Walked through the crowd. She did not look angry or scared. She had expected this. Humans were new to space travel. Most aliens thought they were just animals that learned to use tools. The arena's main floor was made of black stone. Above it, thousands of seats rose up in circles. Each section was filled with different alien species. The reptile-like saurians sat in one area. Insect people called Vex took up another section. Floating energy beings drifted in special chambers. At the center of it all was the fighting ring. It was 200 feet wide and surrounded by energy shields. This was where the galaxy's most dangerous creatures fought for sport. Commander Ductar stood at the registration desk. He was 7 feet tall, with green scales and yellow eyes like a snake. When he saw Hannah approach, he made a sound like laughing. "A human wants to enter the Apex Challenge," he asked. His voice was deep and rough. "This is a joke, yes?" "No joke," Hannah said. Her voice was steady and calm. "I want to register." The commander looked at her like she was crazy. "Little human, do you know what the Apex Challenge is?" "Only the strongest trainers in the galaxy dare to enter. They bring creatures that can destroy cities. They have been training for hundreds of years." "I know," Hannah said. She placed a small metal card on the desk. "Here's my entry fee." Ductar picked up the card and scanned it. His eyes went wide. The amount was correct enough to buy a small spaceship. "Where did a human get this much money?" "Sold everything I owned," Hannah said. Around them, other aliens were gathering to watch. They whispered and pointed. Some laughed. Others looked confused. Ambassador Velenex floated over. Had 6 arms and a round body covered in purple fur. "Commander Ductar, what is happening here? This human thinks she can compete in the Apex." "Challenge," Ductar said. "She actually has the entry fee." Velenex looked at Hannah with his 3 eyes. "Young human, you should leave. The creatures in this tournament are not pets. They are killing machines." The last trainer who failed was eaten alive on live broadcast across the galaxy. Hannah thought about her old teacher, Kim Taeho. He was an old man who lived in the mountains of Korea. When Hannah was a child, he taught her how to understand animals. Not just dogs and cats, but wild tigers, angry bears, and even poisonous snakes. "Animals are not evil," Taeho used to say. "They are just afraid or hungry or protecting their families. If you can understand their hearts, you can speak to them." Without words, Hannah had spent 15 years learning from him. She could calm a charging bull with just her voice. She could make friends with wolves that other people feared. When the first alien animals came to Earth, she was the only human who could handle them safely. "I will not leave," Hannah told the ambassador. "I came here to prove something." "Prove what?" Velenex asked. "That humans belong in the galaxy." The crowd around them grew bigger. News of the strange humans spread quickly through the arena. Aliens from all over came to see what was happening. "Look how tiny she is," said a rock-like creature. "My pet could step on her." "Humans live for such a short time," said another alien. "They die before they can learn anything useful. I heard they cannot even read minds." Laughed at being made of blue energy. "How do they talk to animals without telepathy?" Hannah listened to all the comments. She had heard worse things about humans before. Many aliens thought Earth people were just smart animals, not a real civilization. Commander Ductar finally processed her registration. "Fine," he said. If you want to die for entertainment, that is your choice. But when you fail, do not blame us. We warned you. He handed her a small device. This will tell you when your turn comes. The tournament starts in 2 hours. There are 12 other competitors. You will go last. Why last? Hannah asked. Dukatar smiled, showing sharp teeth. Because you will be the funniest part of the show. The crowd will enjoy watching you run away screaming. It'll be a good way to end the day. As Hannah walked away from the registration desk, she heard the aliens talking behind her. I feel sorry for her, said one. She is brave, but stupid, said another. This will be over in 30 seconds, laughed a third. Hannah found a quiet spot in the waiting area. She sat down and closed her eyes. In her bag was a small wooden flute. Kim Tae-ho had made it for her many years ago. Music speaks to the soul, he had taught her. Every living thing has rhythm in its heart. If you can find that rhythm, you can find peace. She took out the flute and played a soft tune. It was an old Korean song her grandmother used to sing. The melody was simple, but beautiful. Some aliens nearby stopped talking and listened. Even though they had never heard human music before, something about it made them feel calm. A small alien child with big eyes came closer. Its mother tried to pull it away, but the child wanted to hear more of the music. Hannah smiled and kept playing. Maybe the other aliens thought humans were weak. Maybe they thought Earth people did not belong in space. But she knew something they did not understand yet. Humans had something special. They could make friends with any living creature. They could find the good in the most dangerous animals. And today, she would show the whole galaxy what that meant. The tournament was about to begin. In the arena below, the first competitor was getting ready. The crowd was cheering and placing bets, but Hannah was not afraid. She had come too far too. Give up now! She put away her flute and stood up. It was time to change the galaxy's mind about humans. The real test was about to start. The arena lights dimmed as the first competitor entered the ring. The crowd went wild with excitement. Screams and cheers echoed through the massive stadium. Hannah watched from the waiting area. As a tall alien with silver skin walked into the arena, behind him floated a creature made of pure fire. The fire beast was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It had no solid body, just flames that moved like a living thing. And ladies and gentlemen, from across the galaxy, shouted the announcer. His voice boomed through speakers that could be heard on every level. Welcome to the Apex Challenge. Today, 12 of the galaxy's greatest beastmasters will face the ultimate test. The crowd roared louder. Aliens jumped up and down in their seats. Some shot colorful lights into the air. Others made sounds that hurt Hannah's ears. The silver-skinned alien raised his hand. The fire creature moved toward the center of the ring. It grew bigger and brighter until it looked like a small sun. From the flame worlds of Pyros, we have Master Zilkar and his solar phoenix, the announcer called out. The fire beast danced. Through the air, it created shapes with its flames, flowers, birds, even the faces of aliens in the crowd. Ow! Everyone cheered and clapped, but this was just the warm-up. The real test came next. A metal cage rose from the floor of the arena. Inside was something that made the crowd gasp. It was a creature from the ice planet Frostamar, a beast made of living crystal and frozen wind. Its body was white and blue, and cold air flowed around it like smoke. The Frost Titan, announced the voice. Can Master Zilkar's fire creature defeat this ancient ice beast? The cage opened. As the ice creature roared, a sound like breaking glass mixed with howling wind. The arena's temperature dropped 20 degrees in seconds. The fire beast attacked first. It shot streams of flame at the ice creature, but the Frost Titan was fast. It dodged and struck back with spears of ice that flew through the air like arrows. The battle was amazing to watch. Fire and ice crashed together in explosions of steam. The two creatures moved around the ring like dancers, each trying to destroy the other. After 10 minutes, the fire beast won. It melted the ice creature into a puddle of water. The crowd cheered so loud that the arena shook. Winner Master Zilkar, shouted the announcer. The silver alien bowed. His fire creature shrank down and floated beside him like a loyal pet. They left the arena to thunderous applause. Hannah's communication device buzzed. A hologram appeared in the air. It was Park Ji-woo. Her friend back on Earth, double quotes. Hannah, are you watching this? Jiwoo asked. His face looked worried. These creatures are incredible. They're like living weapons. I can see that, Hannah said quietly. Maybe you should reconsider, Jiwoo said. There's no shame in backing out. These aliens have been doing this for thousands of years. Not backing out, Hannah said. The second competitor entered the ring. This one was a robot, a machine intelligence from the Cyber Collective. Its beast was even stranger than the first. It looked like a metal spider the size of a car, but it could change its shape. One moment it was a spider, the next it was a snake. Then a bird with sharp wings. The robot's opponent was a creature of pure thought, a psychic beast that existed only in minds. The crowd watched in amazement as the battle happened on two levels, physical and mental. Hannah watched 5 more battles. Each one was more incredible than the last. There were creatures made of living metal, beasts that could control gravity, and monsters that existed in multiple dimensions at once. The alien trainers were masters of their craft. They had special technology, psychic powers, and centuries of experience. Some of them were famous across the galaxy. Their names were known on 100 worlds. After each battle, the crowd cheered for the winners and booed the losers. But even the losers were respected. They had put on good shows with dangerous creatures. Next up, called the announcer, we have a special treat. High Chancellor Zixmora has agreed to let us see the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The crowd went silent. Even the aliens who had been laughing and drinking stopped to listen. Brought from the crystal caves of Vexamer Prime, captured at the cost of 50 lives, we present the Apex Titan. Massive cage began to rise from the sea floor. It was different from the others, bigger, stronger, and covered with warning symbols. Energy fields surrounded it, and armed guards stood ready with weapons. As the cage came up, a feeling of fear spread through the arena. Even the bravest aliens felt their hearts beat faster. Some of the smaller creatures in the crowd tried to hide. Inside the cage was something that should not exist. The Apex Titan was 40 feet tall and covered in crystal skin that looked like black diamond. It had 6 limbs, 4 arms, and 2 legs, all ending in claws that could cut through steel. Its head was shaped like a skull, with glowing red eyes that seemed to look into the souls of everyone watching. But the worst part was not how it looked. The worst part was how it made everyone feel. Fear poured off the creature like heat from a fire. It was not just physical fear. It was terror that went straight to the deepest parts of the mind. The kind of fear that made brave soldiers run away crying. Several aliens in the crowd fainted. Others ran for the exits. Even the announcers had trouble speaking this. This is the Apex Titan, the announcer finally managed to say. His voice was shaking. Also known as Nargle. It has killed every trainer who tried to control it. Masters have died trying to tame this beast. The creature moved in its cage. Every step made the metal bend and crack. Its red eyes looked around the arena, and wherever its gaze fell, aliens ducked down in terror. But today, the announcer said, we have someone brave enough or foolish enough to face this monster. A spotlight fell on Hannah. She stood up slowly from her seat in the waiting area. The crowd's reaction was immediate. They booed and laughed and shouted cruel things. The human is going to die. This is going to be over in 10 seconds. Someone should stop this before she gets eaten. But not everyone was laughing. High Chancellor Zixmora, a being made of living crystal, watched with interest. Ambassador Valenix looked worried. And in the VIP section, several military leaders from different species leaned forward to get a better look. Commander Dukhtar spoke into his communicator. Prepare the emergency medical team and have the cleanup crew ready. This is going to be messy. Hannah walked toward the arena entrance. Her communication device buzzed again. Hannah, please don't do this, Jiwoo begged. That thing is not an animal. It's a force of nature. It's killed beings 10 times stronger than humans. I know what it is, Hannah said. She reached into her bag and pulled out the wooden flute. I also know what I am. The arena doors opened, and the crowd's booing got louder. At the center of the ring, the Apex Titan's cage was waiting. And inside that cage, Nargel was waiting too. Hannah stepped into the arena. The black stone floor felt cold under her feet. Over 500,000 aliens watched and waited. Most of them expected to see her die in the next few minutes. The energy shields around the ring hummed with power. They were strong enough to stop a spaceship, but everyone knew they might not be enough to contain the Apex Titan. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, his voice still shaking, "we present Lee Hannah of Earth. She is 28 years old and has no formal training in beast mastery. This is her first tournament." The crowd's booing got even louder.
Owie.
Threw things at the energy shields. Trash and empty drink containers bounced off the barrier. "Go home, little human. You don't belong here. This is not a place for weaklings." Hannah ignored them. She walked to the center of the arena and sat down cross-legged on the cold stone. She placed her small bag beside her and took out the wooden flute. In the VIP section, Choi Min-young watched through a live broadcast from the human colony fleet. She was the leader of all human settlements in this part of space. Her hands were clenched tight as she watched. "Can she really do this?" asked one of her advisors. "I don't know," Min-young said quietly. "But if anyone can, it's her. Hannah has a gift that even we don't fully understand." Back in the arena, the cage holding Nargel began to open. The metal bars slid away with a sound like thunder. Emergency. Alarms started to ring throughout the station. The Apex Titan stepped out of its prison. Up close was even more terrifying than it looked from far away. Its crystal skin was black as space, but it had veins of red light running through it like lava. Each step cracked the stone floor. 6 limbs moved with deadly grace. But the worst part was still the fear. It rolled off the creature like invisible fire. Even through the energy shields, the crowd could feel it. Thousands of aliens covered their eyes or tried to hide behind their seats. Nargel turned its skull-like head toward Hannah. Its red eyes focused on her like laser beams. The creature had lived for thousands of years. It killed beings from dozens of species. It knew the taste of fear from every type of alien in the galaxy. But when it looked at the small human sitting on the floor, something was different. Hannah was not running. She was not screaming. She was not even standing up to fight. She was just sitting there perfectly calm, holding a piece of wood. The Apex Titan took a step forward. The fear it produced got stronger. Several aliens in the front rows fainted. Others started to cry without knowing why, but Hannah did not move. The creature took another step, and another. Soon, it was only 20 feet away from her, close enough to kill her with one swipe of its claws. The crowd held its breath. Even the aliens who hated humans did not want to watch someone die like this. Nargel raised one of its massive arms. The claws gleamed like black metal. In the VIP section, military leaders from 5 different species prepared to turn off their broadcasts. This was going to be too horrible to watch. Then Hannah raised the wooden flute to her lips and began to play. The first note was soft and low. It echoed strangely in the huge arena. The sound seemed to come from everywhere at once. The Apex Titan stopped moving. Its raised arms stayed frozen in the air. Hannah played a second note, then a third. The melody was simple. Just 5 notes repeated over and over. But something about it made the hair on every creature's body stand up. It was an odd, old Korean folk song that her grandmother used to sing. The melody told the story of a lonely mountain spirit who wandered the world looking for friends. It was sad, but also hopeful. Nargel's head tilted to one side. The red glow in its eyes flickered like candle flames. Hannah continued playing. She remembered what Kim Tae-ho had taught her about music and animals. Every living thing has a rhythm. In its heart, he had said, the rhythm of life itself. If you can find that rhythm and match it with your music, you can speak to any creature without words. The melody changed slightly. Anna was listening to something that only she could hear. The deep, slow heartbeat of the crystal creature. It was different from any animal on Earth, but it was still a heartbeat. Still, the sound of life. She adjusted her playing to match that rhythm. The notes became deeper, slower, more like the sound of crystals singing in the wind. something incredible happened. The fear stopped. The invisible terror that had been pouring off Nargal suddenly disappeared. The aliens in the crowd could breathe again. The ones who had fainted started to wake up. The apex titan lowered its raised arm. Its crystal body began to change color from black to deep blue, then to purple, then to a soft green dot. Elder Crixana, an ancient alien who had lived for over 1,000 years, leaned forward in his seat. He had seen many strange things in his long life, but never anything like this. Impossible, he whispered. She's communicating with it, but how? Humans have no psychic abilities. We can't read minds or project thoughts. In the arena, Hannah stood up slowly, still playing the flute. The melody continued, but now it was more complex. She was weaving in new notes, sounds that matched the frequency of the creature's crystal skin. Nargal took a step toward her, but this time it was not threatening. The creature moved carefully, like it was trying not to scare her. The crowd was completely silent now. Even the announcers had stopped talking. Everyone was watching something that should not be possible. A human was having a conversation with the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. She was doing it with nothing but a simple wooden flute and an old song from Earth. The melody reached a crescendo, a moment where all the notes came together in perfect harmony. At that exact moment, Nargul made a sound. It was not a roar or a scream. It was something like singing a deep, crystal note that matched the music from Hannah's flute. For the first time in its long life, the apex titan was not angry or afraid or hunting. It was simply listening to music and trying to sing along, Commander. Duktar's jaw dropped open. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. This is not possible, he said to Ambassador Valenex. That creature has killed 15 masters. It should have torn her apart by now. Look at it, Valenex said quietly. It's curious, like a child language. It's curious, like a child hearing music for the first time. High Chancellor Zixmora, being made of crystal herself, could sense things that other aliens could not. She felt the harmony between the human's music and the Titan's natural frequency. She's not controlling it, Zixmora said with wonder. She's befriending it, as the music continued. For several more minutes, Hannah played variations on the simple melody, and each time, Nargul responded with its own crystal song. The two sounds wove together like a conversation between old friends. Finally, Hannah lowered the flute. The arena was so quiet that everyone could hear her breathing. Nargal stood perfectly still, looking down at her with eyes that no longer glowed red. Instead, they were soft blue, the color of a peaceful ocean. The creature slowly reached out with one massive hand. Its claws, which could cut through steel, gently touched the top of Hannah's head. The crowd gasped. This was the moment everyone expected her to die instead. Hannah smiled and reached up to touch the creature's crystal skin. The moment their skin made contact, something beautiful happened. Waves of soft light rippled across Nargal's body like water. Creature made another singing sound, this time happy and peaceful. For the first time in the tournament's history, the arena was completely silent, and in that silence, the galaxy began to understand that they had been very wrong about humans. The silence in the arena lasted for a full minute. 500,000 aliens stared in shock as Hannah stood next to the apex titan, her small hand still touching its crystal skin. Nargal's body continued to glow with soft colors. The waves of light moved across its surface like a gentle rainbow. The creature that had killed 15 masters was now as calm as a sleeping cat. This cannot be real, whispered Commander Duktar. He rubbed his yellow eyes and looked again. I must be dreaming. But it was very real. Hannah was just getting started. She stepped back from Nargal and raised her flute again. This time she played a different melody, faster and more playful. It sounded like children laughing and running through a field. The apex titan's head turned to follow the music. Its crystal body shifted to bright yellow and orange colors of joy and excitement. Then Hannah did something that made the crowd gasp. She began to walk around the arena. Nargal followed her. The massive creature moved behind the small human like a loyal dog following its owner. Its heavy footsteps shook the ground, but it was careful not to step too close to her. Impossible, breathed Dr. Yusangmin from the human observation deck. He was a scientist who studied alien animals. The creature is showing pack behavior. It's treating her like its leader. Hannah stopped playing and turned to face Nargal. The creature stopped too, waiting to see what she would do next. Sit, Hannah said in a calm voice. The word was in Korean, not the common galactic language, but somehow Nargal understood. The giant creature folded its 6 limbs and lowered itself to the ground. Its crystal head was now level with Hannah's. The crowd erupted in amazed whispers. Did that thing just obey her?
Ow.
Is this possible? She's speaking to it in her native language. War Master Thokron, a military leader from the warrior clans, stood up in his seat. His 4 eyes were wide with shock. If humans can do this with the Apex Titan, what else can they control? Hannah walked over to Nargal and gently patted its crystal head. The creature made a purring sound, something no one had ever heard from it before. Good, she said softly. Very good. She stepped away and held up her flute. Stand, she said. In Korean, Nargal rose to its full height immediately. The creature spun in a slow circle, its crystal body catching the arena lights and throwing rainbow patterns on the walls.
Yes.
This command made everyone hold their breath. The Apex Titan was a killer, not a performer. But Nargal began to move in rhythm with an imaginary song. It swayed back and forth, lifting its arms and legs in graceful motions. The sight was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. A creature that could destroy buildings was dancing like a ballet performer. In the VIP section, High Chancellor Zixmora leaned forward. As a crystal being herself, she could feel the harmony between Hannah's commands and Nargal's responses. She's not using force or fear, Zixmora said to the other leaders. She's using something else, something we don't understand. Ambassador Valinix was recording everything with his 6 arms. My government needs to see this. The implications are enormous. Hannah raised her hand, and Nargal stopped dancing. She pointed to different spots around the arena. Go there, she said, pointing to the far wall. Nargal walked to the wall and stopped. Now there, she said, pointing to the opposite side. The creature crossed the arena and waited for the next command. For the next 10 minutes, Hannah put Nargal through a series of complex movements. The creature crawled under imaginary obstacles, jumped over pretend barriers, and even walked backward in a straight line. Every command was obeyed instantly. The most dangerous beast in the galaxy had become as obedient as a trained pet. But the most amazing demonstration was still to come. Hannah walked to the center of the arena and lay down on the cold stone floor. She closed her eyes and became very still. The crowd gasped. What was she doing? She's making herself vulnerable, said Elder Crixana. This is the ultimate test of trust. Nargal approached slowly. Its massive form cast a shadow over Hannah's small body. The creature could crush her without even trying. Instead, it gently curled its crystal body around her like a protective wall. Its 6 limbs formed a circle with Hannah safe in the center. The creature's head lowered until it was resting on the ground beside her. The 2 of them lay there peacefully, the human and the monster, resting together like old friends. The arena was so quiet that people could hear their own heartbeats. Dr. Yusangmin was frantically taking notes. This is revolutionary, he said to his assistants. She's demonstrating a bond that goes beyond training or control, creatures choosing to protect her. After a few minutes, Hannah sat up and patted Nargal's head. The creature lifted its own head and made the soft singing sound again. One more thing, Hannah said, speaking to the crowd for the first time. She stood up and walked to the edge of the arena. Nargal followed her. Attack, she said, pointing at the energy shields. The crowd screamed and dove for cover. Security guards raised their weapons. Emergency alarms started blaring throughout the station, but Nargal did not attack the shields. Instead, it looked at Hannah and tilted its head like a confused dog. Said attack. Hannah repeated, pointing again. The creature made a questioning sound. It looked at the shields, then back at Hannah, then shook its massive head. No, The apex titan was refusing to attack. It would not hurt anyone while Hannah was there. Hannah smiled and patted the creature's leg. "Good choice," she said softly. The demonstration was over. Hannah had done something that 15 masters before her had died trying to do. She had not only tamed the apex titan, she had befriended it. The crowd was still in shock. Nobody knew what to say or do. Commander Ductar's voice crackled over the arena speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have never seen anything like this before." The other competitors who had won their battles earlier looked tiny compared to what Hannah had accomplished. They had controlled their creatures through technology, psychic powers, or years of training. Hannah had done it with nothing but music, patience, and kindness. In the broadcasting booth, reporters from dozens of species were sending urgent messages. To their home worlds, this was not just sports news anymore. This was the biggest story in the galaxy. War-Master Thokron was already on his communicator. "Get me high command," he ordered. "I need to talk about these humans immediately." Ambassador Velenex was doing the same. "Contact the diplomatic corps. We may need to completely revise our treaties with Earth." Other alien leaders were having similar conversations. In one afternoon, humanity had gone from being ignored to being the most interesting species in the galaxy. But in the arena, none of that mattered to Hannah. She was just happy that she had made a new friend. Nargal leaned down and gently touched her shoulder with one crystal claw. The creature's eyes were now a warm golden color, the color of contentment and trust. "Ready to go home?" Hannah asked. The apex titan made its singing sound one more time. It was a sound of agreement and joy. For the first time in its long life, Nargal had found someone who understood it, someone who did not fear it or want to use it as a weapon, someone who just wanted to be its friend. The impossible had become possible, and the galaxy would never be the same. The silence in the arena finally broke. It started with one alien in the back row. A small creature with purple fur began to clap slowly. Then another joined in, then 10 more, then 100. Within minutes, the entire arena was on its feet. 1,000,000 aliens were cheering for the human who had done the impossible. But not everyone was happy. In the military section, Warmaster Thokron was shouting into his communicator. "I don't care what time it is. Wake up the High Command. We have a situation." His aide looked confused. "Sir, what kind of situation?" "The kind that changes everything," Thokron said, pointing at Hannah and Nargal. "If humans can control apex predators without technology or psychic powers, they could control our war beasts too. Our entire military strategy just became useless." Similar conversations were happening all over the arena. Leaders from dozens of species were making urgent calls to their home worlds. Down in the ring, Hannah was oblivious to the chaos she had caused. She was sitting next to Nargal, gently stroking the creature's crystal skin. The apex titan had curled up like a giant cat, its eyes glowing soft blue dot. Commander Ductar finally found his voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. Lihana of Earth has successfully completed the Apex Challenge." The crowd cheered again, but many aliens were still in shock. They had come to watch entertainment. Instead, they had witnessed something that would be talked about for generations. High Chancellor Zixmora floated down from the VIP section. Her crystal body gleamed under the arena lights as she approached Hannah. "Young human," she said, her voice like wind chimes. "What you have done today is beyond remarkable. How did you learn to communicate with Nargal?" Hannah looked up from petting the creature. "I listened to its heart," she said simply. "Its heart. Every living thing has a rhythm inside," Hannah explained. "If you can match that rhythm, you can understand what it needs." Nargal was not evil. It was just lonely and afraid. Zixmara stared at her. "Lonely? This creature has killed 15 masters." "Because they tried to force it to obey," Hannah said. "They used pain and fear as tools." But Nargal just wanted someone to understand it. As if responding to its name, Nargal lifted its massive head and made the soft singing sound. Its eyes looked at Zixmora with curious intelligence. The High Chancellor stepped back in amazement. "It's aware. Truly aware. It's not just an animal acting on instinct." Ambassador Valenix approached with 3 of his 6 arms extended in a gesture of respect. Miss Hannah, my government would like to discuss trade agreements with Earth, we believe. Humans might have skills that could benefit both our species. More ambassadors began to gather. The insect collective sent their hive speaker. The energy beings dispatched their brightest representative. Even the proud warrior clan sent an envoy. They all wanted to talk to Earth about one thing: cooperation. My species has war beasts that are difficult to control, said the warrior clan representative. Perhaps humans could help us understand them better. We have creatures on our mining worlds that are too dangerous to approach, said another alien. Human beast tamers could solve this problem. Within an hour, Hannah had received 17 different job offers from alien governments. Each one was willing to pay enormous amounts of money for human expertise with animals. But the most important conversation happened when General Wang Dae-sung contacted her from Earth. His hologram appeared in the arena, transmitted across thousands of light years. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. Hannah, he said, the entire galaxy is watching. News of what you did here is spreading to every inhabited world. Is that good or bad? Hannah asked. Both, the general said honestly. Some species are excited about working with humans. Others are afraid of what we might be capable of. But either way, humanity is no longer ignored. He was right. On worlds across the galaxy, emergency meetings were being called. The Collective Council, representatives from the 50 most powerful species, is gathering for the first time in 20 years. The topic: what to do about humans. Dr. Yu Sangmin had been busy during all the political discussions he was studying. Recordings of Hannah's performance, trying to understand exactly what had happened. It's not telepathy, he told his research team via hologram. Humans don't have psychic abilities. But we do have something else, emotional intelligence that goes beyond any other species we've met. What do you mean? Asked one of his assistants. We can read body language, vocal tones, behavior patterns better than species with actual mind-reading powers, Dr. Yu explained. We evolved alongside hundreds of different animal species on Earth. We learned to understand creatures that couldn't speak our language. And that works on alien animals too. Apparently, yes. The basic emotions, fear, anger, loneliness, joy, seemed to be universal. Hannah recognized that Nargol was afraid and lonely, just like any animal on Earth might be. Back in the arena, Hannah was getting ready to leave. But Nargol was not going back to its cage. The creature belongs to the arena, Commander Doctor said nervously. It cost us 50 lives to capture it. Hannah looked at him calmly. Asked Nargol. If it wants to stay? Doktar laughed. Ask it. It's an animal, said High Chancellor Zixmora quietly. It's not just an animal. Watch. Hannah turned to Nargol and spoke in Korean. Do you want to stay here or come with me? The apex titan stood up and walked over to Hannah. It gently placed one crystal hand on her shoulder and made a long musical sound, even without understanding the language. Everyone knew what the creature was saying. It was choosing to go with Hannah. Commander Doktar's mouth fell open. But it's our property. Sentient beings cannot be property, Zixmora said firmly. And this creature has just demonstrated that it can make its own choices. The legal implications were staggering. If Nargol was truly intelligent, then keeping it in a cage was slavery, not animal control. As Hannah and Nargol walked toward the exit, the crowd began to cheer again. But this time it was different. It was not just applause for a good show. It was respect. The small human and the giant crystal creature made an unlikely pair. But somehow they belonged together. Elder Crixana watched them leave and shook his ancient head in wonder. In 1,000 years of life, I have never seen anything like this. What happens now? Asked a younger alien beside him. Now everything changes, Crixana said. Humans have shown us something we forgot, that the strongest bonds are not made with chains or fear, but with understanding and kindness. As Hannah's ship prepared to leave the arena, her communication device buzzed with hundreds of messages, job offers, interview requests, and invitations to visit alien worlds. But the most Important message came from Earth. Hannah said, General Wang, we're proud of what you've accomplished, but this is just the beginning. You've received contact from 43 different species wanting to hire human-animal specialists. 43? Hannah asked. Growing every hour? Seems the galaxy has a lot of dangerous creatures that need understanding instead of fighting. Hannah smiled as she looked at Nargel, who was resting peacefully in her ship's cargo bay. The creature had adapted to space travel surprisingly well. Tell them we'll help, she said, but they need to understand one thing. What's that? Don't control animals. We befriend them. There's a difference. As her ship left the arena and jumped to hyperspace, news of the human victory spread across the galaxy. On Earth, young people began signing up for animal training programs. On alien worlds, dangerous creatures that had been considered hopeless cases were suddenly seen as potential partners instead of problems. The arena had booed her, a rival, and expected her to fail. Instead, Lee Hannah had changed the galaxy forever, and, somewhere in the depths of space, traveling toward Earth with her new friend, she played her wooden flute one more time. The melody drifted through the ship, and Nargel sang along in its crystal voice. It was the sound of friendship crossing. The stars, the sound of a new beginning for humanity among the stars.